claiming a person can't do the job because of their race is sort of like the textbook definition of a racist comment. I think that should be absolutely disavowed. It's absolutely unacceptable.
Cowardice.
But do I believe it?
Are you serious? Apologies for freedom. I can't handle this. When freedom rings, answer the call. On your feet, stand up tall. Freedom's on our shoulders. USA! Enemies of freedom. Face the music. Come on, boys, take them down. President Donald Trump knows how to make America great. Deal from strength or get crushed every time.
Ah, yes, the Donald Trump singers. I gotta tell you, that scares me. It really, I mean, honestly, scares me. That parents would allow their children to be used as propaganda stunts like that. Wow, scary stuff. Welcome back to The Rick Smith Show. Check out the website, thericksmithshow.com. Paul Ryan in the news, as we've been talking about today. The better way. Calls our safety net a failure. And when I saw this piece by our friend Bob Weiner, who's a former Clinton White House spokesperson, also a consultant with Weiner and Associates, that saying, look, hey, you know what? It's not been a failure. I go, we got to get Bob back on the program to talk about it. Bob, thanks for taking time for us.
It's a pleasure, Rick, and I literally have just walked out of a meeting to do your show with John Conyers, the Dean of the Congress, who, when I showed him the article in today's Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and our listeners are welcome to go to wienerpublic.com and call it up, Ryan is wrong, the safety net has not failed, realize that tax breaks for the rich is not the way to help the poor get jobs, food, and security.
But don't you know, blaming the poor for being poor that's the way we do it. We shame them into working harder, Bob.
Well, the reality is that Social Security reduced seniors' poverty by 3/4, Rick, by a full 75%. And we'd have seniors going to garbage cans and seeking out dog food if it wasn't for Social Security. And Ryan wants to privatize it. So and then he wants to take welfare and stop people from being able to get it, despite the fact that it's allowed people to find jobs. And Clinton made it into a partial job program. And food stamps, they want to cut it by $20 billion. And yet 46 million Americans have got SNAP, and it's allowed, which is what food stamps is now called, it's allowed them to find jobs. So the problem is with this tax break thing, which is all he wants to do, thinking it'll ever trickle down. And the Congressional Budget Office and Library of Congress both said that you get 5 times bang for the buck with jobs, not tax breaks for the rich.
Right.
That Ryan is wrong. The safety net hasn't failed, but if his agenda passes, it absolutely will.
But here's the thing, Bob. I mean, they truly believe that tax cuts creates jobs. It's like magic dust. You give enough tax breaks to corporations out of the benevolence of their heart, Bob, they're going to create jobs, right?
Well, the numbers say otherwise. The numbers say that they invested into their yachts and into more research for contracts that seek illnesses that really aren't threats to the United States. If you're a pharmaceutical company, that's what tax breaks do. You know, just think about this one. We have 160,000 people that die from cancer, and one died from Ebola who got it in the United States. But how many billions of dollars did we give to the Ebola people because of big pharma seeking the research money for it? And that's now happening with Zika. It's what happened with bird flu. Same thing. So we've got to be very careful about what we do with our safety net money. And Ryan told an audience of kids in Georgetown, he said, you'll be the first generation less well off. But if government, Rick, takes away health care, Social Security, food stamps, and jobs, that's exactly what will happen.
I'm with you, but here's the thing. I mean, where's the response to this? The Republicans are masters of this, and I saw this, the Better Way proposal, which is nonsense. It's the lipstick on the same pig he came out with, I think, 2 years ago with his Improving Opportunities initiative that they tried to push around, which is more of the same poor shaming and that, like, what's the Democratic response to this? What's the push?
Well, that's exactly what I talked to Conyers about. As I said, he's the Dean of the Congress. He's the Dean of the Congressional Black Caucus. He's probably the most progressive member of the Congress. And he is running around everywhere on this. He's putting a press release out himself on this right now. And do you remember when Reagan wanted to make ketchup a vegetable,
Certainly.
how the Democrats protested, embarrassed him, and pulled it away?
Of course I remember, because you know what? Here's the thing, Bob. I remember as a kid benefiting from those Great Society programs that gave hot lunches to kids who lived in the inner city and in projects like I did in the summertime that Reagan took away. I remember all of those assaults on the safety net and all of those assaults on the programs that I myself had benefited from. And oh, by the way, that Paul Ryan benefited from.
That's correct. When Ben Carson spoke at the National Press Club, he said, I went to medical school, and my mother was helped by welfare, but everybody now should make it on their own. Does that make any sense to anybody?
It doesn't.
He's trying to deplete and Trump and all of them, they're trying to, and Ryan with his agenda, deplete the safety net that actually made our country great.
Look, I'll be honest with you, Bob. I'm not a big fan of handout programs. I remember as a kid despising the cartoonish money of the food stamps that you had to go to the store with. I'm against that. My mother wanted a job. She wanted an infrastructure that helped take with childcare and all of those other things. To me, the answer to poverty, the answer to these problems it's a job, simple. But creating an environment where government, to me, is the last resort employer, that's where we should be going, giving people the dignity of work, giving them the ability to make it on their own, but making sure there is a job there for them. I think that's paramount.
Well, look at this. You mentioned food stamps, and you're not a big proponent of giving away things, Rick, and you're right. But Ryan's proposals contain $40 billion in food stamps cuts. And I co-wrote a piece with Carol Olander, who was the director of food stamp research at the Department of Agriculture, and she said that food stamps reduced poverty by 8% in 1 year, and called it a myth that the program abused tax dollars because 95% of federal spending goes directly to low-income participants in the form of benefits.
Right.
So you can't say that we're not a great country when we accomplish some things like that, Rick.
No, look, Bob, I'm absolutely with you. I believe in this country, in the wealthiest country in the world, no child should go to bed hungry. No senior should have to eat dog or cat food instead of getting medicine. There are some just basic, simple truths that we should be saying, this is the line in the sand. This never happens. My point is, how do you get there? I'm a fan of giving people the dignity and respect of a job. Making sure that everybody has something to do so that they have some empowerment to then move on. And then we stop this kind of race baiting, this kind of poor shaming, this kind of ridiculous nonsense that I see Paul Ryan and others putting on us.
Well, the answer to how you get there, Rick, is you got to flip the Congress.
Yeah.
And you flip the Congress with the kind of things you just talked about, the race baiting that could create a wave election that Trump is engendering now. And if we are able to flip the Congress and get the Senate back, get the House back, and have a Democratic president, we can have the kind of economy that Bill Clinton created with 23 million jobs and all levels, the middle and lower. It was the only time amidst all the Republican presidencies that they actually rose in their incomes because they were working. Because that kind of rising tide lifts everyone.
And I've been saying that for the longest time. You get everybody has a job, and you make sure that there are jobs for everyone, and then you have the ability to make people's lives better. And then you start talking about guaranteed minimum income so nobody falls below the poverty line.
I don't know how you help those who need it most by giving tax breaks to the rich and freezing the minimum wage and refusing to let it rise when it's been stagnant effectively for 30 years. I don't know how you do that.
Well,
I don't know how with a straight face someone like Trump can say that wages are too high. I don't understand where that comes from.
I don't either. But at the end of it, I understand their psyche is if you shame somebody long enough and if they're hungry enough, they'll go out and they'll work harder. They truly, I think they truly believe that.
Well, you don't get motivated by shame. You get motivated by helping your family.
And by opportunity. And to me, that's
Correct.
where we give people those paths. And also, the other part of this that I'm not hearing anybody talk about but me is I think we need to go back and we need to fix our broken labor law system to go back to the original intent of the framers of the Wagner Act to allow workers to collectively bargain and have the Act and the National Labor Relations Board encourage workers to be joining and forming unions to fight for better wages, hours, conditions. To me, that should be a central tenet of what Democrats stand for.
Of course. Without labor unions, we wouldn't have the 5-day week. We wouldn't have the 40-hour week. We wouldn't have sick pay. We'd have child labor, as you said. Those are so critical, and yet the labor has deteriorated because of the Republicans trying to make that happen, Rick. Your station and your network are such a voice for labor in America, and you should take deep pride for being the voice because you are a lone crier in the woods.
But here's the thing, Bob. It's my story. It's how I lived. I grew up, and I probably told you this before. I grew up in a housing project on the west side of Cleveland, and we were dirt poor. We were where they put the socioeconomic ladder on top of. I remember going to Purtis Elementary School in the summertime, getting a hot lunch, and seeing the kids in line, knowing that would be the only hot meal they got all day long. I lived, I saw, I experienced these things. And it was because of that union card I kept in my wallet that I now live in a neighborhood with doctors and lawyers. I worked hard. I was going to work hard regardless. But the difference is my hard work was rewarded by decent wages and a fair share of the wealth that I created.
Well, you did it the right way.
And I want to recreate that for everyone. I don't want to be the Paul Ryan type. I don't want to be the Ben Carson type who say, I've made it, and now I'm going to kick the ladder out from the person behind me. I want other people to come forward. I want other people to have opportunity and a chance at a reasonable existence. And look, I'm not rich by any sense of the imagination, but I'm definitely not where I started off, and I think that's the American dream.
Well, you mentioned Ryan and numbers. Bill Clinton is the master of the numbers. Paul Ryan claimed he did a 2.5-hour marathon, and it was a 4.5-hour marathon. This is the guy who's creating the numbers of taking away the money from social programs and giving it to tax breaks for the rich, so there's no money left in the budget.
Right.
You cannot succeed that way. And we're going to have a budget that's going to go deeper and deeper and deeper into debt and help fewer and fewer people so that colleges do deteriorate more. We've gone from 1st to 15th because of the reduction in the funds in the federal budget. 1st to 15th in college completion. So that's the kind of issue that we're confronting now. And again, Rick, the only way to solve this is with a flip of the Congress.
Right. So let me ask you the other side of this, because I've been getting a lot since now it's decided that it's over. Hillary is going to be the nominee.
That's
true. They keep using presumptive. She's going to be the nominee. We get to that. I've gotten tons of email from people going, I'm never voting for her. And a whole bunch of this, that, and other stuff. But there's this view out there that never going to vote for her. So that by default, I guess we're going to get Paul Ryan and Donald Trump and all of the insanity that they bring with us. How do we reach those folks who are saying, never her?
Well, I think it'll soften as she has a more and more effective and a more issue-driven, mission-driven campaign, but the never Trumps because of blood gushing from their whatever. McCain's not a war hero. No judge can be a judge because of Hispanic. Build a wall, ban Muslims. All of that. The never Trumps are stronger than the never Hillarys, and the demographics of not getting the Hispanic vote. He's at 20 on Hispanics now. I think he won't even get that much with the way he said this judge thing. That polling was before the judge comment. It's a wipeout, except that he's got 5 months to recover.
Right. But are you surprised that Paul Ryan came out and basically said, I don't like what he said, but I'm still voting for him?
Surprising, because Mitch McConnell was much stronger. And Lindsey Graham was much stronger, and Kirk, the senator, withdrew his endorsement because of what Trump said. So it is surprising, not to use a pun, but love of country has to trump Trump.
Yeah, good point. So last question I've got for you, in looking at this the better way, do you see any traction coming out of this, or is this going to get the same kind of scoffing kind of behavior that the last several Republican plans have gotten?
Yes, I am hoping that it's DOA. I mean, the danger would be that there is an election that gives them their, veto-proof Senate and their House that can just run roughshod over everybody. But if we are where we are, the Democrats' defense will stop the Ryan congressional agenda of destroying the safety net and destroying the entire New Deal premise that Roosevelt created that took us out of the Great Depression. Hopefully we will succeed in obliterating and blocking the Ryan agenda.
Well, that is the hope. But, Bob, I appreciate you taking time for us. Thanks so much for taking a little bit of time away from your meetings.
Thank you so much, Rick, for having me. And here, you can thank the guy who gave me his desk or who had to work. Here you go.
All righty. Thanks so much. Great talking to you, Bob Weiner. Quick break. Right back. Stick around. You're listening to The Rick Smith Show. We're working people. Come to talk.
red roses too. I see them blue for me and you. And I say to myself, what a wonderful world.
Yes, it is all about the children. Even after their